Hey everybody. Just gonna wait for everyone to join the Zoom room and then we'll get started. Or technically the Zoom webinar. So yeah, we'll wait just a moment, wait for a few more people to join us, and then we will get started. In the meantime, I would love to know where you're tuning in from. You can just write it right in the chat. That would be great. I am coming here live from Vienna, Austria, by way of Rochester and Buffalo, New York. I'm an expat. I have been for the last almost 5 years, and yeah. So let me see. Let's see what we have here. Boston. So this is always fun because I usually know quite a few people who are here, but it's also cool because it's truly a global community. We've got Boston, Orford, Canada. Jim. Oh, hey Jim. Appleton, Maine. New York City, Boston, Houston, Chicago, Peter in Toronto. Hey, Peter. Hey, Jim. Virginia Beach. Vancouver. Hey, Jenny. Seattle, San Antonio, Toronto, Chicagoland. Hey, Michael. Croatia. Hey, Marco. Ransomville, New York. All right. Tony. Hey, Tony. Chicago. Uh, more Vienna. Okay. Copenhagen. So some European friends here. Based out of Syracuse, but currently in Vermont. Awesome. My family used to live in Vermont for many years in Burlington. Monterey, Niagara Falls, Ontario. Hey, Richie. Columbia, Pittsfield, Mass, the Berkshires. All right. Austin, Vancouver, New Jersey, Barron. Hey, Franz. Germany, Washington, Brazil. Galen. Hey, Galen. Oh, that's a great surprise. It's so nice to see you here. Well, I can't see you, but I'd be giving you a big hug if I could. Oregon, DC, UK. Sorry, I'm not. I'm skipping a few of these. I'm recognizing everyone internally. England, New Jersey. So we have quite a few people uh, from the States, from Europe, South America. I mean, this is awesome. We always get one or two people from Australia, Hawaii, and sometimes New Zealand. So that completes all of the usually all of the time zones. Um, Anyways, it's great to be here with all of you. Uh, Again, such a treat. I'm really thankful that you took the time to sign up for this workshop. This is one of my favorite workshops that I get to host. This is now my third or fourth time doing the first call bassist roadmap, and every year I always do a little variation of it just to change things up for the uh, for the regulars who have made it. And if this is your first time, then welcome. And again, I'm really happy to be sharing this time with you. Um, so we've got our introductions from where we're tuning in from, and I would love to know just quickly in the chat, what are your goals for today? What are you hoping to take away from this experience? You can keep it short. You don't have to write anything too long. But yeah, what are your goals? What are you hoping to take away? And also, if this is your first time, please write that in the chat too. First time in one of my workshops. I mean, my first. All right. So moving lines, I hear to the bass. Okay, I love that. First time taking notes and applying one or two things right away in my next few weeks of practice. Okay, working on ears. First timer. All right. Better ability to learn by ear. Great. Goal, first timer, develop a teacher student relationship with DZ. I'm here for you, Scott. Let's do it. First time. Looking to get better at jazz and tips for where to start. Okay. First time in a violas via the Nathan Cole session. That's so cool. It's nice to have you here, Anthony. First time, used my books. Great. Thank you for coming and continuing to support me. First time. Find out how this differs from other ear training methods. Okay. First time. Improved ear training, hearing changes more quickly, more melodic lines. Third video session. Okay, so third video session, first time, first call bassist. So Jim, you've had a lot of experiences with these types of workshops then. Improve strategy for hearing destinations, playing by ear. Overall, glean info from DZ. All right, Tony. I think Tony's got my best tricks already, but we'll see if we can share some new ones. First time. Learn how to really listen and sing, like you showed in the transcription video. Okay, these are excellent, excellent goals and wishes for the weekend. And I love that there are so many first timers. This is great. So for all of you who are looking to get new strategies for uh, improving your listening skills and developing a quicker connection between your ears and your hands, you are in the right place. That is entirely what this weekend is about. In addition to having fun and learning to develop a deeper connection with the music that we play. Now, I will say there will be some moments of vulnerability, and I'm going to ask you to sing. I'm going to ask you to do things that you may not have done before, and it may not be instantly gratifying. But I promise you that by going through this experience, you will have a transformation. It really will give you some insight into the types of things that you are capable of, and it will ultimately be super fun. I can promise you that. So the last thing I want to ask is, in just one word, could you describe how you're feeling right now? Just in one word. Good, stoked, good, open, excited, ready, comfortable, curious, vulnerable, eager, hopeful, curious, excited, okay, happy, attentive, cool. I like that. Chill, waiting, okay. Well, we'll get the show on the road, Mark. Don't worry. Happy, awake, tired, focused, open. I love that no one has said terrified. Because sometimes when it comes to playing by ear, that is the first thing that comes to people's minds is just terror. But you're all cool. You're all ready to go. So that's excellent. Great. So let's dive in. So some of you have been to this workshop before, as we said. Some of you know me through my books or my video courses, or I don't know. There's lots of stuff out there connected to me and my teaching online. So just super quickly, I'm Danny Zeman, living in Vienna, Austria, obviously a bassist, educator. I grew up in Western New York, in Buffalo, was a Rochesterian for 10 years. I went to the Eastman School of Music and spent a lot of time in Europe. I've lived in Switzerland, now Austria. I've toured throughout Europe and Asia with lots of different jazz groups. I've been fortunate enough to play with a lot of my jazz heroes. And or rather throughout my career performing, I've spent and dedicated an equal amount of time to learning the craft and the art and the science of teaching, and really to try and help bass players unlock the mystery of learning tunes, playing by ear, and getting to a point where there's no need for a real book anymore. There's no need for a lead sheet. And even in your most vulnerable moments, playing tunes you've never heard before with people you've never met before, getting bass players to a point where they can thrive and they can really be at a point where they're playing with total freedom and confidence, and they know that no matter what's going to happen or no matter what happens, it's all going to be totally fine. And I know maybe that sounds a bit crazy, but it's possible. And that is really what I have found in my own playing to be the most important musical attribute, or rather the most important skill that I can bring to the music. Besides being a good person, my listening abilities is really what gets me the gigs with my favorite musicians and my musical heroes. And again, I'm really excited to be able to share that here with you this weekend. So I'm gonna create a scenario for you. Imagine that you're on a gig with, I don't know, whoever your sort of musical idol is. They call you, you get on the gig, and they say, hey, I want to play a tune. Let's say the tune, It's Nice to Be With You by Jim Hall. And they say, we're going to play it right now. It's in D flat major. Let's do it. And they don't have a chart, and you have no time to learn it. So again, you're in a situation where you're with your hero. There's no sheet music, and you have to play it on the spot perfectly. So on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being totally terrified and one being like, I'm cool, let's do this. How would you feel in that situation? $11, $9, $7, $11. I see a few 11s. Okay, 99, 10, 10, 5, 7, 5, 5, 10, 10, 9.5, 8, 8, 6, 12, 11, 10, 6. Electric 5, upright, terrified AF. Okay. 11, 11, 9, 10, 9, 5, 9, 8, 4, 5. Okay. This is, okay, cool. No ones. Interestingly, I usually get A1. But all right. Well, here's the thing. We're going to do it right now. Okay. I'm going to play a song for you that you likely have never heard before. And you're going to get one chance to listen to it and figure out as much as you can about it. Okay. Oh, 11 could be 2 ones. Could be. But I haven't taken math in forever. Here we go. So I'll give you a little bit of information about this tune. Okay. It's in the key of D flat major, or rather it starts in the key of D flat major. That's all you get. Here we go. Okay, that's it. So can you tell me what the form of the tune is? It's not a blues, but as an example, that's one form. So what could the form be? Did anyone think they have it? You can write it in the chat. AABA-ish. Sounds like it has an extended bridge. AABA, ABA, rhythm changes. ABCA, AABA, ABCA, 2651, AABA, 32 bar AABA, AABC question mark A. Okay. So we have some good guesses. So if this was a gig situation, right, and I wanted to play a tune, I called the tune, let's say I'm the band leader, you're the bass player, and you've never heard it before, I would give you a little bit more leading information. I would say it starts in D flat major, and you're all very close. It's technically it's AABA-ish. It's AA. B, the bridge is actually 16 bars. So it is an extended bridge. Whoever said extended bridge gets bonus points. You get first call bassist bonus points. I don't know what they're redeemable for, but they're yours. So AAB, extended bridge, and a last A section, which is kind of like A prime because the melody goes in a different spot. Simply, let's call it AABA, but the B section is twice as long. So I would tell you that ahead of time. And I would say that actually, I'm not going to tell you anything yet. I want you to focus. I'm going to play it one more time. I want you to see if you can pick up or recognize the key centers on the bridge and the last A section before I tell you any more information. I don't want to lead you just yet. So we'll play it one more time. So we're in D flat right focus on the key centers. So the A sections are in D flat major. That's pretty clear. It doesn't deviate away from that. But what about the other sections? What other key areas did you pick up on? Ends a half step down. Yes, Jim, you got it. The last A section is actually a half step down. That's why this tune is so tricky. It snakes, kind of goes through some key areas that are very smooth, and then the last 2 beats of the form, you get 5-1 back to D flat, and it's a bit of a shock. Scott said, sounded like ascending and whole steps on the back half of the B section. There is some whole step movement. Any other guesses? Don't be shy. Sounds like the first part of the bridge goes to B flat minor and the second half goes to E major. Okay. Scott said some 1-6 action in the A section. Yes. Montgomery Ward bridge to the 4. Okay, any other takers? Bridge sounds major, so G flat or other related major. Okay. So I'm glad that this is coming up. Because on a gig, if you were to take or if you were to play a tune that you have never heard before, and I was a band leader, this is what happens to me. I would tell you generally the basic outline of the tune. I would say it's AABA. The bridges are the A sections are in D flat major. I would say the bridge goes to A major. So he's bum ba starts in D, and then the bridge goes ba da da ba 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 bum. That's A major. Then it goes to C major, D major, and then the last A section is in C major. So that's as much info as you would get, and that would be enough, really, or should be enough to help you sort of focus your ears so you know what to listen for. And if this sounds crazy, like how can anyone do that? This is really what is expected of me on all of my gigs, and I honestly have to learn at least 1 or 2 new tunes on nearly every gig I play. Tunes that I've never heard before and tunes that we don't have charts for. I mean, no exaggeration, nearly every gig. Because if people want to play a tune, they're gonna make you learn it. You don't want to be the person that says, "Oh, sorry, I don't know that tune." So I really have one chance to learn these things, and the way to start is by trying to recognize the form, get the form, and try to pick up on those key changes as quickly as possible. So here's the deal. I'm going to teach you this tune now. It's a great tune. I love it. And I'm going to teach it to you by ear. So I don't want you to have your instrument with you yet. I just want you to sing with me. And I'll teach you a few bars at a time. And I guarantee in about 20 minutes, you'll be really surprised by how much you're able to do without your instrument, just by singing and listening. So So this is D flat. So I'm going to sing the first 8 bars, kind of slow. And I just want you to listen the first time, and then you can join me the second time. So Raymond was asking, do we need our instruments today? It would be great if you had them in about 20 minutes, but it's not a requirement. You don't have to have it. But let's try this. So this is D flat. This is our tonic. The A section, chord changes go like this. Doom, do, 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 do. I'll take it even slower, so we can try it. So if you get even part of that, just try and join along. See what you can pick up. 1, 2, ready, and do 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 do. We'll sing the first 4 bars together. 1, 2, ready, sing. Do 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 do. It's got 1 6 2 5 action going on. We'll sing the first 4 bars again, and then we'll go on to the next 4 bars. Okay. 1, 2, ready, sing. Do 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 do. Let's do the last 4 bars now. We're putting it into little different chunks. Starting on 4. 1, 2, ready, sing. Do 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 do. So as you're singing this, imagine each phrase you're singing, again, as like a 4-measure chunk. Each note that we're singing is technically a half note. So it's really easier if you imagine, again, each sort of harmonic phrase as being 4 bars long. It helps you visualize it. It helps your ear keep track of what's going on. Let's sing the A section again 2 more times, okay, with a pause in between. So this is tonic. 1, 2, ready, sing. Do 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 do. Again. Do 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 do. So that's the first A section. And the great thing about AABA tunes is that it's a buy one, get one free deal. The first A section repeats itself. So the only thing that's different between the first A section and the second A section is just the last 2 bars of the second A section. So can you imagine the part where it goes doon, 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 the last 4 bars of the A section? I want you to just sing it in your head without singing it out loud. So just imagine it. It's going from do, ready? Boom. So you can imagine those last 4 bars. It goes 1, 4, 3, 2, or if you're into solfege, do, fa, mi, re, do. So the second A section, the last 2 bars just goes do, 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 do. So it goes 1, 4, 1. So let's sing the first 2 A sections together. And just remember that the second A section, the last 2 bars are just a little bit different, not by much. So here we go. I think we're still in D flat. There we go. First 2 A sections. 1, 2, ready, sing. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Okay, that's half of the tune right there. So just in the comments, how comfortable are you with that information so far? Are you able to imagine it on the bass, for example, as you're singing along? That's what I do. It's kind of impossible not to at this point. So far, so good. Got it. Yay. Okay. Yes, yes, I can't sitting here. Good, yes, very comfortable so far. Okay. Very comfortable. Okay, good. Starting to get it good. Yes, I think. Okay, cool. So singing is such a vulnerable thing to do, right? But I always think that I really know a tune if I can sing all the parts of it, if I can sing the guide tones, if I can sing the melody, if I can sing the bass line away from my instrument, right? Because if I can't internalize it, and I don't have ownership of it, then the bass isn't going to bring anything extra, right? My fingers aren't doing all the playing, it's my ears. I have to be able to hear an idea and translate it to my fingers. So if I can't really own a tune away from the instrument, then I feel like I don't really know it all that well. And the other way I look at it is I don't need the bass to be a musician. I am musical, and I can embody that musicianship everywhere. So that's why I really spend a lot of time developing these skills, working on it with my students at the university here in Graz, where I teach ear training, or in my first call bassist program. I do this stuff all the time and every day in my practice too. And it really, it's a work in progress all the time, but it's always getting easier. So, and I personally use solfege. We'll get into a little bit of that. I do movable do solfege with all of my students. I've been practicing it for years. I think it's the way to go. We'll talk a little bit about why in just a few minutes, because now I'm going to teach you the bridge with those other key changes. So can you remember where tonic is? Can you remember where the home pitch is, a home key? I want you to just sing it and hold it. Here, do. So this is where I'm hearing it. Do or do, if you want a neutral syllable, do. Let's check it. All right. Pitch memory is also a good thing to develop, trying to recall where the center of a key is, even if you're spending time away from the instrument. Do. So this is the last of the A section. I'll sing you the last 4 bars of the second A, and I'll take it to the bridge. Do, 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 do. That's the first half of the bridge. Now we're in A major. Do, this is now do, sol, mi, do, do. It's a little bit at the bottom of my range. Do. So it starts on 2, 2, 5, 1, 4, walks down, 2, 5, 1. That's it. So starting on 2, I'll sing it for you again once, and then you can join. Do, 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 do. That's it. Why don't you join me? We'll do, actually, here's what I'll do. I'll do the last 4 bars of the second A section in D flat and then modulate to A. And I want you to see if you can join me for this modulation, right? See if you can hear where it's going even before we get there. This is our original key. So starting from 4, do, 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 do. Here comes the bridge. Do, 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 do. That's the first half of the bridge. So from do, do, sol, mi, sol, do. Now we go from A major to C major. Actually, this is the 2 chord. A major to C major. And there's an exercise that I'll show you a little bit later where you pivot with solfege. This is something I have my students do called ear ladders. It's basically a way of navigating through multiple keys with solfege to really build your internal ear. So if we have, we're in the key of A, bum, we have bum, 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 and now we need to go to C major. This is A. In my mind, I'm going to go to D, which is 4 of C major, or 4 of A major, right? A is 1, D is 4. But now, actually, we're on the 2 chord of C major. Re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, mi, sol, do. Now we're in the key of C. So I'll sing the last 4 bars of the A major section and then modulate into C. Do, do, do. Here comes C major. Do, 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 do. It's kind of a quick modulation. It's really slick. So let's do the bridge and we'll modulate into C major, okay? Starting on do. So this is the 2 chord, ready, and do, 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 do. Now it goes to 6, do. But now we're in D major. This is where it gets tricky. So I'm going to sing the second half of the bridge for you, that modulation to C. And it goes from C major back to D major, back to C major. It's pretty crazy. So I'm going to do it for you 3 ways. I'm going to sing it on a neutral syllable. I'll sing it using solfege. And if you've never done solfege before, it's totally okay. This is kind of a little bit of an introduction to it. All you need to know is that do represents the key that you're in. And then I'll sing it using numbers as well, scale degrees. So the second half of the bridge goes like this. Going into the key change, rather. This is measure 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the bridge. Do, do. Now we're in A major, going to C. Do, 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 do. Now we're in D. Do, 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 do. It's a bit of a cluster of chords there. I'll do the same thing using solfege now. Again, doing the last 4 bars of the A major section. Re, sol, do. Re, sol, do. La, which becomes sol, do, la, re, sol, re, sol, do. Also try it using scale degrees. Again, going back to A major. 2, 5, 1, A major now. 2, 5, C major. 6, which becomes 5, 2. Oh, sorry. 1, 6, 2, 5. 2, 5, 1. So right now, if you're thinking, wow, this is an absolute mess, I can't believe this, or I don't know what's going on, just keep rolling with it because it will make sense in about 5 minutes. Okay? I promise you. Let's sing the entire bridge together. And just as a recap, 2, 5, 1, 4, 2, 5, 1, A major. 2, 5, 1, 6 in C. Then 1, 6, 2, 5 in D. 1, 2, 5, back to C. So the key centers are A, C, D, C. Best rock band ever, AC/DC. But don't, shh. Just kidding, they're pretty great. Not the best though. So let's try it again from the beginning of the bridge. And I'll do it on a neutral syllable. Again, if this was my class, we would be doing it with solfege because it actually makes it significantly easier. But I don't want to overwhelm you with the syllables as we're getting into this and learning the changes. So just know that's how I would do it if we were really diving into this content for weeks and months. Starting on B, ready? And do, 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 do. Going to C, do, do, do. Going to D, do, 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 do. Back to C, doom. And now we're at the last A section. So just to really drill this, let's sing the first 2 A sections and the whole bridge. So we're in C, but the first A section's actually in D flat. It's the power of ears. Don't need a piano. So let's take it from the very beginning, right? It's 1, 6, 2, 5, 2, 5, 1, flat 5, 4, 3, 2, 5, 1. Happens twice. And then we get the bridge. So let's let's do it. So this is do. You can use solfege if you want, neutral syllables or numbers. All good. Ready? 1, 2, 2, ready, sing. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, we're an A, but we're going to C. Do, do, do. Do, now we're in D. Do, do, do. Do, do, doom. All right. Take 30 seconds and just reflect on how much content you have just learned. That's a lot of chord changes to keep track of. If you've never done this before, then really you should feel awesome. Even if you're getting 1% of it, that's still progress and that's still great. And this stuff takes time. It really takes time to develop these skills. It's really not commonly taught either. So again, if it's your first introduction and you're making some progress, then huge congratulations. Like really sensational. Okay, let's do this last C section. I'm gonna take some water so I can preserve my voice. And then we'll move on to the next step. So we're in C. The last A section goes like this. Ready? Do, 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 do. Do, 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 doom. So the last A section is similar to the first A section. And there's a little bit of a da 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 da. I'm sorry. Ba da da da. I was in the wrong key. Just a little walk down that'll make sense momentarily. But I'll sing the last A section for you again. Do, sorry, D flat. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 da. This is a pedal. Dum, do, 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 dum. Back to the original key. Sing it with me, just one last time. Do, 1, 2, ready, and do, do. Do, 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 dum. Okay, and now, just to really flex our ear muscles, let's sing the whole thing together. Even if you're not sure, you're not totally confident, it doesn't matter. I want you to just try it because I promise you'll be surprised by what you can do. Do, that's our starting pitch. So it's A, B with a big extension in the middle, and then the last A section. Ready? So it starts here. 1, 2, ready, and do, 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 to C, do, 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 going to D, do, 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 going to C, fa, mi, re, do, 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 do. Now this should be a D flat. Do. All right, so that means that we kept on pitch the entire time. All the key changes in the middle were accurate. I'm going to play the tune for you again, and I want you to listen along now that you've internalized the bass notes, or the roots of the chord changes, and see if you have a different way of listening to this tune, or if your experience changes. So now you know the form, you know the key centers, and check it out. See how it's different this time around. Okay. So how was it this time around hearing the tune versus the very first time that you heard it? Do you feel like you know it a lot better? Like you can imagine yourself playing it? Let's see. Better, easier for sure. Much better. Understand it better. Yes. Absolutely. That's great. Yes. Definitely C. Yes, better. Much better. Could hear it better. Yeah. Still tricky with no steady comping in the background. Yeah. I understand. But it will continue to get easier the more that you implement this. Much better for sure. B section still tricky. Much easier to build a mind map of the tune. Great. So now I want you to just think about this for a second. Even if you don't have 100% of it, like I said, if you have 1%, 10%, 50%, that's still a great start, right? Because as you do this more, it does get easier. But keep in mind that you have not seen a lead sheet and you have not used your instrument, and yet you know the tune better than you did before after just listening to it. So we spent 30 minutes singing the bass line and internalizing the chord changes, right? So that is basically like using your ears, your internal ear, the same process that you would use to learn a tune in 1 minute. It's just faster and faster and faster. So if you experienced any level of success with this, then you are definitely capable of developing the skills needed to learn a tune instantaneously or after hearing it just once. It's literally the same process. It just gets faster and faster every time. And again, you don't need your instrument or a lead sheet to learn tunes. You can totally do it without. And in fact, my guarantee is that if I had first given you a lead sheet and said, hey, I want you to learn this, you could have practiced it for a week and still probably not would have memorized it as quickly, definitely would not have memorized it as quickly compared to the process that we just did right now, where you listen to it for 30 minutes and sing along. Because now I'm going to show you the lead sheet, and I think you'll be pretty surprised and what it looks like. And now when you practice this, I'm going to ask you to practice this tonight. But when you go through the exercises that I give to you and practice it for 20, 30 minutes, I guarantee you that by tomorrow, you're going to know this tune. And that saves you so much time. And you're going to remember it in a week. You'll remember it in 2 weeks. You may even remember it in a year. So let's listen again with the lead sheet now. The melody is embellished a bit. So that's what the lead sheet looks like. And again, maybe it clarifies, I'm sure it clarifies certain things, but you really don't need it to learn this tune. Now, by the way, I changed this chord. I taught it to you as a C right here. It's interchangeable with E minor. It has the same function. But if you're looking at that and wondering, hey, it's a little bit different, it's not meant to trip you up. It's all really the same. Just going to check the comments. Richie said, I have a jam with a singer tomorrow. Never played with her. We don't know what songs we are playing, so this workshop really helps. Thanks, Danny. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad. I'm so glad to hear that. You're inspired. It's great. Richie, you'll have to let us know how it goes. Please keep us posted. So the thing I wanted to get into just for a moment is a bit about why we're doing this process, right? Because there are a lot of approaches to ear training and a lot of ways that you can memorize tunes, a lot of ways that you can try to develop repertoire or strengthen your ears. And I want to just give you a bit of insight into why I do things this way, where I'm coming from, what researchers have shown about this process, and really how we can maximize our time to get the most amount of benefit. So I believe wholeheartedly that the way to develop your ears is not by using, and again, keep in mind, this is not to put down any app makers or people who develop products, interactive tools or anything that can help you work on your ears. But I really believe wholeheartedly, and research has supported this, that the best way to develop your ears is to use repertoire, use tunes, right? Instead of using exercises to make music, just use music to make music. It makes it more fun, and you can immediately start using what you've learned, right? So the problem that I have experienced in the past and that I've seen with students is that they spend a lot of time learning intervals, right? Okay, if I just learn my intervals, I'll be able to learn how tunes work, or I'll be able to memorize tunes faster. But the thing is, using intervals and trying to memorize the sound of individual chords and intervals is like trying to memorize the sound of individual letters, right? It all changes depending on the context, and we don't really pay attention to things on that level. Like when you're listening to me speak, the smallest unit that you are paying attention to is a sentence, right? That's a lot of words. A sentence is like a phrase. A sentence is like 1, 6, 2, 5, 2, 5, 1. That's kind of like a sentence, right? That's like the first phrase of the tune that we learned. And so when we focus on these micro elements, intervals, individual chords, and so on, we're not going to memorize it because our brain is not wired to memorize things that way. So really, if we can find ways to learn music and train our ears similar to how we experience language, then we're going to have a much easier time. It's going to be much faster and will be way more enjoyable in the process of studying these things. So the way that we learned to speak, or learn language rather, is we listened, right? When you're babies, you listen. There's like a period of a year or so where babies are just kind of staring and taking in everything. Then they babble, they mimic what they hear. It's kind of unintelligible, but then they're actually able to reproduce speech. And by the time a baby is 5, they already know thousands and thousands of words. That's a lot of time listening before they even attempt to make full conversation, right? And then babies learn to read and write after they can already speak. But in music education, it's kind of backwards. We actually learn to read before we learn to actually speak and listen, right? We never actually really spend time learning to write or compose in music education. It's just kind of like writing, and that's kind of the final stop. I mean, imagine if you had a baby or a child who's learning to talk and you said, whoa, 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 stop talking. You need to learn to read first. We would find that to be ridiculous. But in music education, that's exactly what happens. On a general level, again, not to throw any colleagues or anyone under the bus. It's just that's the state of music education. So if we spend time listening and really focusing on repertoire that starts at a fundamental point, right? Beginning with easy tunes that has tonic and dominant movement, taking in short tunes like Happy Birthday or Mary Had a Little Lamb, or if you're not from the States, native folk tunes from your culture. Starting with those tunes before you get to more advanced tunes, then you're already learning melodies, you're learning harmonic movement, you're learning forms, and it's going to be way easier to learn tunes and recognize intervals and chord types anyways, because you're just absorbing so much music. The problem is that we don't train our ears in a musical way, and we treat ear training as a supplement rather than a lifestyle, right? It's kind of like going to the gym once a week, twice a week, but then smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day and eating takeout every day, right? The gym doesn't really counteract the lifestyle choices, but if you eat healthy and you walk a lot, drink a lot of water, and go to the gym, then your entire lifestyle is centered around health. And if you think of working on your ears as not a supplement, but actually the core part of being a musician, right? To be able to listen and react and be spontaneous and interact with your group, whether it's jazz or orchestra, folk music, pop music, it's just like a language, being conversational. That's the essence of communication. If you can think about ear training as something that is at the heart of being a musician, then your entire approach to the process changes. And it's not about memorizing intervals or drilling with apps. It's about learning tunes. It's about singing. It's about composing. It's about just being musical anywhere. Hearing a noise outside and trying to sing the pitch and then sing a tune that you know along with it. You can really transform the way that you approach this whole study in ways that will elevate your musicianship tenfold. Just by taking advantage of your environment and by taking this other approach. And the issue that we run into as jazz musicians is that we think that thinking will solve our problems. We use the think method. I heard this term coined a while ago by a few musicians, recently Christian Howes. I really loved it. We use the think method. We think that we can just memorize chord changes in the same way that we can memorize a phone number, and that's going to be enough to allow us to play a tune. But the thing is, thinking doesn't, right? And if we view the process of learning a tune is memorization, then what that actually means is we shut our ears off in the process of playing. And we're not listening to anybody around us if we're trying to memorize chord changes, because we're trying to recall something from the past rather than being present in the moment. So the thing is, when we develop our ears and we learn tunes, right, and we're playing with other people, we're also listening to the way that they're playing, because they also will lead us to the next chord change. And I've used this analogy before, so if you've heard it, please pardon me. But if you're, for example, if you're really listening to me speak and you're really in tune with how I'm presenting and what I'm sharing, then you really should be able to predict the next word that I'm going to say. And with music, it's the same thing. If you're really listening to what's going on, then it should be actually very clear what's going to happen next. We just have to learn to recognize those harmonic movements, those tendencies, and so on. But again, it's a language connection. And rather than memorizing chord changes, if you have a roadmap of the tune, you know that it's A, A, B, A. You know that the A sections are in D flat major. You know that the bridge goes to A and D and C. Okay, you have the framework. You cognitively know what's going to happen, and then you can just get to listen and use your ears and open up and be along for the ride. And that is really what being in the moment is, playing spontaneously, and you make your ears work for you. So rather than memorizing 42 measures or 48 measures of chord changes, you have to memorize one form, AABA. You have to know 3 or 4 key centers, and then you just get the freedom of being able to play. And it requires way less work. And it has nothing to do really with, again, memorizing chords. It has nothing to do with intervals. It has nothing to do with memorizing chord types. And it's also not really a lot of technical study either. We're talking about developing our ears, our core musicianship, just by us, right? And that's what I really love about this process, is that you can carry your musicianship with you everywhere and work on this stuff everywhere. So, enough about the philosophy. Again, you can tell I'm probably pretty passionate about this, but I want to give you things that you can actually work on tonight in preparation for tomorrow. So for tomorrow's workshop, I'm going to take you through my routine. It's called Crawl, Walk, and Run. And it's a way that you can practice playing two feels, walking lines, and solos, all using really basic elementary information, just the chord tones, and really develop the freedom to improvise and really practice it in a way that really, really, really develops your ears. This is the routine that I use for every tune that I learn. And it really just helps me get the sound of the tune in my ear and gives me the freedom to improvise and play great bass lines, play melodic solos, and not worry about memorizing scales or thinking about passing tones or any of this stuff. This is like one of my best ear training techniques. So that's what we're getting into tomorrow. That's how we're going to wrap up the workshop. And in the meantime, I'll give you just a few things that you can practice before then, so you can really just come in and absolutely own the tune. So I'm going to share my screen with you. This is a 2-5-1 exercise that I created. One of my philosophies is that if you create an exercise or if you practice an exercise, it should be extracted from repertoire you're working on, right? So the exercise comes from the tune. The exercise is not meant to be the step that takes you to the tune. It's just you work on the tune, and then from there you can figure out what unique challenges exist in that tune, and you create exercises to help you overcome some of those challenges. So always start with the whole first. Always start with the whole tune, and then identify the places that are a little bit trickier and find creative ways to work on those. So for example, this uses solfege. By the way, I would encourage you to learn this pattern. All of my students learn it, and for me, it's like the foundation basically the foundational exercise for getting into solfege. It's a 2-5-1. And it goes like this. Re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, ti, do. This is do. Do is basically your home. So what I'm doing here is I'm singing a 2-5-1 in D flat major. Re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, ti, do. Now I'm going to pivot to A major, right? That's one of the key changes from the A section to the bridge. So do, this is do, but now we're going to A, right? Re, scale degree 2, starts on B, right? B is scale degree 2 in the key of A. So if I'm singing do, I know that B, this is D flat, right? I know that B is a whole step below. So I'm going to go ba, ba, ba. This is my new re. Re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, ti, do. I realize there are no chord changes in here, but this would be this would be B minor 7, E7, A major. I'll upload a new sheet with the chord changes on here. I'm basically just outlining the 2-5-1 in the key. So I just sang do. Now this sounds like this is home. Do, mi, re, ti, do, sol, mi, sol, do. We're very clearly in the key of A. So I modulated between these two keys, right? And I was able to hear the key change without an instrument, right? That's the fun part about this. So do, that's A. We'll go back to D flat. Re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, ti, do, do, dun, dun. Re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, ti, do. Now I'm in the key of A. So I modulated from D flat major to A major just using my ear and my voice. So what I would do if I was practicing this, I would do this away from the instrument and I would just do it exactly as I just did. Re, fa, la, Re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, ti, do. Bum, bum, bum. Re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, ti, do. And then if you have a keyboard, you can check to see if you're close to do, right? If you're off by a half step, then you can go back and work on it more. But I would isolate these key movements. So A major to C major, re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, ti, do, re, fa, la, do, ti, sol, fa, re, do, mi, sol, ti, do. So now I went from A major to C major. So if you were to practice these, I would, again, really memorize the syllables. It's super helpful. It'll make you sing more in tune. And practice just each of these kind of in isolation. So I go from here, take a little pause, find the starting note, then sing this one. Then repeat this a few times, and then just kind of do each one independently. Don't spend more than 10 minutes doing this. It's really just meant to help you hear the relationships between the keys. There's no other purpose than that. It's just to be able to predict the key change and recognize that it's going somewhere else, really before you even get to the new do. It's really fun for that reason. And even if you've never done solfege before, I promise that you can do this, right? The syllables are there for you. So no stress, take it slow if you need to. But this is one of the primary exercises I would work on. So the other things I would recommend you do are sing the bass notes, right? Sing the bass notes without the recording. Sing the bass notes with the recording. I would play the bass notes on your instrument. Like, try and do it without the chart. See if you can teach yourself the bass notes just by singing, just by knowing those key centers, without the recording. And then I would play along with the recording. Then I would listen, again, just listen to the recording without the chart and listen to the recording with the chart. And then if you really have, like, if you're not going crazy at this point or your ears aren't totally dead, you can also sit down with a piece of notation paper and actually try to write your own chart with the bass notes or the chord changes. That's like extra, like super high level stuff, super extra bonus points if you do that. Um, but yeah, those are some of the things you can do. Now, I'm going to send an email in just a few minutes recapping all of this information. There are links to these handouts. There are links to the recordings, and all of the practice suggestions are listed in there as well. So if you're trying to write this down and you don't have it all, don't stress. You'll get all of the information in a jiffy. So again, tomorrow, I would really, really, really love for you to come back, because we're going to get into my favorite part of the workshop, which is this crawl, walk, run method. And I really promise it's going to blow you away at how simple and effective it is for playing melodic lines, solos, and really helping to train your ear to hear these specific harmonic movements. So again, notice that what we did was we started without a chart, we started without an instrument, and we internalized the music without even playing today, right? We started that process. You'll continue to do that, and by tomorrow, again, you'll be amazed at what you're able to do on the bass, even if you haven't practiced it yet, even if you haven't practiced this tune on it. Usually we go to the instrument first and then try to figure out how something goes, and we did the opposite today. So again, huge kudos to all of you for being here, showing up, for trying this. It's awesome. It's such a treat to be able to share this. And to quote Jim Hall, it's nice to be with you. It's great to spend this time with you. So I have just one question for you. How are you feeling right now? Tell me how you feel after an hour and 15 minutes of working on these skills, especially compared to the beginning. And I'm going to go just check these questions quickly. We'll have time for Q&A tomorrow. So if we don't get to the questions today, it's not because of a lack of interest on my part. It's just for time. And we will definitely have a chance to go through questions tomorrow. And seeing some comments. So Tom said Kodai style. Yeah, so Tom, this is some of what we're doing is inspired by music learning theory, which is Ed Gordon. But Kodai and music learning theory and Suzuki all have some common roots. Mark was saying, do you have a course or are your books a course? So I do. I mean, full disclosure, I do have a program, like a long-term program that I teach. And I'll be sharing a bit of information about it tomorrow. But yeah, I've got stuff available that really takes you like from absolute zero to hearing chords with tons of extensions and complicated forms and so on. Yeah, I'll share a bit more about that soon. Scott was saying, I love how this approach gets one away from technology and back to the basics. I'm a full-time Java programmer, and getting away from the screen is important to me. Yeah, I love that, Scott. I mean, technology is beautiful, right? Because it really allows us to, it's taken us further than we've ever been before. Technology is great. We have access to music anytime we want it. But technology can also hold us back when we have the iReal Pro, or we have even a real book is a form of technology. And sometimes it can be the thing that holds us back because we can depend on it too much. And so finding a balance of being inspired by technology but not depending on it, I think, is crucial in expanding our musicianship. So Greg was saying, Danny, question, how can we use this method once we've learned a tune by ear and then transpose it to a different key? So Greg, that's one of the best reasons we use solfege. Movable do solfege is because with solfege, you learn to hear the relationship between notes, and you don't do it from a theoretical perspective. You don't do it with numbers. You don't do it with note names. You just learn to hear do, la, re, sol, do, like the first 4 bars. So I did that in D flat, but I can do it in E, Do, la, re, sol, do. I can take it to any key, and I'm not thinking numbers, I'm not thinking scales, I'm not thinking Roman numerals. I'm just hearing the relationship between the notes. So the more you get deep into solfege, it's significantly easier to transpose because you're not thinking, but you're actually just hearing it in the color of the new key. Jeff was saying, how do we print this out? So you'll have access to the handouts. I'll send you a link in just a moment. Jim said, will you give us a link for the video? Yeah, everyone will get a link for the video as well. And now I'm getting to my favorite part. How everyone feels. Inspired, very good. Motivated and wanting to work on this more. Motivated, excited and motivated. Excited, inspired, cool. A little frustrated and inspired. Marius, I think that's a great place to be, right? Of course, this process is frustrating, but the inspiration is great because it shows you that it's possible. I love those little light bulb moments. Combination, energized and frustrated. Yeah, this is a thing. This is hard. This is really hard. And this is something that, I've been working on this and these types of skills for over 20 years, like 22, 23 years. I've been singing solfege and learning by ear, working with ear training pedagogues, and I still get frustrated by what I can and cannot hear. It's an evolutionary, it's always evolving. It's always a process. It's like our language abilities are always expanding. So this is not easy, but it becomes easier, and we are biologically wired to be able to develop these skills. So there is hope for all of you, I promise. Motivated, enthused, very interesting framework. We'll give it a try. Great. Like a breath of fresh air, awesome and enlightened. Material is amazing, exactly what I need at exactly the right time. Thanks, Scott. Joanne said, a little less confused. I'll take it, right? Incremental steps are still steps in the right direction. Slightly overwhelmed. Okay, David, well, tomorrow we'll have a chance to dive into this more. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I definitely recommend taking a break before you practice anything. Just let things digest. It will still process in the background. Motivated, challenged, so much better. Very cool. A lot less scared than I was earlier. So much better, and I feel like I can do this. Great. Scott said, it's great that you are not dead and available. Many other great method books are written by people who are no longer with us. Yeah, I live about 20 minutes from Franz Simandl's resting place for the last 100 years. So, but I probably curse his name once a week. So yeah, I'm happy to be able to talk about this with all of you. Encouraged, inspired, helpful. Jeremy was saying, so does solfege give a way to say sharp 4 or flat 5? Yep. So I teach chromatic solfege. I'm not getting into it for this weekend just because it's not really about teaching the full depths of solfege, just to show you what it can do for you. But yeah, chromatic solfege accounts for all of those sharp 4, flat 5, sharp 5, flat 6, all of those incremental half step movements. Mark was saying, can you explain why traditional ear training has failed to be effective? Mark, I'll give you the 20-second version, and then we can dive into it tomorrow. But and again, this is coming from someone who is a lecturer. Like I'm a lecturer at a major jazz university in Austria, and I teach ear training. I design the curriculum. I teach ear training in theory and ensembles, and I've also taught at universities in the States, and I've gone to universities in the States. So I have an overview of how this works. Part of the reason why some traditional ways of teaching this is not fully effective. And again, I'm not trying to trash anybody's experience teaching this or learning this. It's just that our music education is segmented. We have theory class, we have history class, we have ear training class, we have this, we have composition, we have this. And technically, we should be learning music theory and ear training and composing all in the same class. It should all be one experience. But we learn them segmented. And that's what music education does, is it really divides topics in as many ways as possible. And then it doesn't really teach you how to build them back together. And so ear training, we learn as we learn to recognize, again, intervals or to be able to sight sing, but it's all about context, right? Like I can read text by Stephen Hawking and I can say it beautifully with emphasis and crescendos, and I can make it sound really interesting. But I have no idea what I'm saying, most likely. And with music, we often learn it the same way. We learn to reproduce what we see in front of us, but we don't learn to do it with comprehension. And so when we learn to sight sing and we learn to sing these intervals and so on, we learn to mimic and reproduce what we see in front of us, but we don't learn to understand what's going on. And that's kind of the fundamental disconnect between learning these skills and being able to actually use them in a musical context. So there's a lot of reasons why, but that's kind of my approach is sort of trying to bridge that gap for people who have some experience with it. And for people who have never experienced traditional ear training, then I love being an introduction to it that is purely based on music and purely based on what skills can I develop now that I can use immediately. Let's see, pay and dues. David Baker was all about the ear training. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, music is listening, right? We don't make music with our eyes. We make music with our ears. And ear training is really like, it's the core of our musicianship. It's everything we do. As a bass player, I want to know everything that's going on in a group all the time so I can make the most informed, empathetic choices and support my colleagues all the time. That's the only reason I do this, because if they sound good, I sound good, and that means we're having a lot of fun. We do music because we love to have fun. We want it to be enjoyable. And this is the one thing that I have really worked on the most that allows me to experience the most amount of freedom and the most amount of fun playing. Jen said, wow, thank you. You have articulated the gap I feel, but didn't know how to recognize. Oh, I'm happy that brings some clarity. Cassie was saying, many people give me charts and will likely keep doing so. Can you address how we use these skills given that reality? Cassidy, I'm going to ask you to save that question and bring it in tomorrow, if that's okay. Just for time's sake, because it's a great question, and I think it's something we can dive into a bit more in terms of implementing this. But sadly, I have to go. I'm sorry. I know we're having so much fun. But I'm going to send you the recap email in just a few minutes. You'll have access to all of the charts, everything. And please come back tomorrow. Again, we're going to do some playing. I've got my bass ready to go. We're going to have a ton of fun. My cat Skywalker might join us. He's a lot of fun too. He's heard this all before, but he still shows up. So again, thank you all for spending this time with me. Such a blast to be here with you. I'm really inspired by your dedication to learning these skills. And I love, like I said, love that for so many of you, this was your first time working on these. So thanks for the opportunity to bring it to your musical attention, and enjoy the rest of your day. Practice, but also relax. And yeah, I'll see you very soon. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.